Hey, I'm Ryan, and this is a Vramble. I haven't done one in a little bit. Don't really want to do one right now, but I'm going to do one anyway. My cat is going to get involved as well. You might see him or hear him. Hi, buddy. So, in February, I got a job as a janitor. I was working with a contracting company called FPG, Facilities Performance Group. And I was working in the LG&E KU building in downtown Louisville. LG&E means Louisville Gas and Electric. They're, for the most part, they're the guys you see in big trucks with big bucket trucks, climbing poles and fixing your power lines and stuff like that. And that's what my dad does. Well, he did that for almost 40 years. And now he is a dispatcher. So rather than the guy climbing the pole, he's the guy that sends the guy out to climb the pole. It's a promotion. And he helped me get this job at FPG. In a way, I mean, he got the application for me. He inquired about it for me. And I got the job after I was fired from Starbucks. I don't remember if I've rambled about that or not. So basically today I was fired. I am no longer a janitor with FPG. In a way, I guess, it's good. I mean, didn't exactly want to be a janitor. All I really had to do was take out trash, dust, and vacuum. But as I said, I was working for a contracting company, and the company that I was working with, they had just gotten their contract with LG&E. And basically, I guess they renegotiated it or restructured it or something. It resulted in me getting fired, and I think somebody else got fired too. The new contract changes happening all the time. So now I am once again without a job. And I applied at the library today to be the guy at the service desk, not a librarian. You have to go to school to be a librarian. You have to get a degree. You can't just come in and be a librarian, which is funny. And this is as political as I'm ever going to get. If I wanted to be a librarian, I would have to go to school and earn a degree in library science. I can't just walk in off the street with no experience and say, I want to be a librarian, and fill out an application and get hired. I can't do that. I have to go to college. I have to have experience to be a librarian. Now, just think about the president, and that's all that I'm going to say. That's it. So, I have an autism spectrum disorder. At one point last year, they would have called what I have Asperger's. But that isn't a valid diagnosis anymore. What it does, or I guess how it affects me, is the way in which I relate to people. My ASD is very mild. But I'm always finding new ways in which it affects me. It's a little bit like looking at ants on the ground. You see one ant, and you say, oh, there's an ant. And then the longer you look, the more ants you see. Because you start looking for ants. And that might not be a good illustration because I'm not really looking for ants. It's not like I sit around going, how is my ASD affecting me today? I actually don't want to be that kind of person. I don't want to wave my disability around and say, look, I have autism. Here's how you should think about me now. Here's how you should treat me now. And that's one of the reasons I haven't gone to vocational rehab, even though that's what my psychiatrist recommends. I'm very stubborn, and or at least about this. And I don't want to. I guess I don't want to bring up my disability all the time. And say I have a disability. Look, and in the same respect, I don't want to look at myself, look at my behaviors, and say, oh, here's another thing to blame on the autism. I don't want to be one of those people who behaves badly, doesn't make good decisions or whatever, and then blames everything on his disability. I don't want to do that, but there are things that the disability is responsible for. I guess a better way to say it is there are ways in which the disability affects me, and they're all social things. I don't understand socializing, and I'm not being hyperbolic here. When I see people socializing with each other, or when people are like, I'm going to go see a movie with my friends, I don't understand why they would want to do that. I know that they do want to do that. I know that there's, a beneficial effect. They get some benefit from it. But I have no desire to do anything like that. It's baffling that anyone would have a desire to do anything like that. My life has no social dimension. Well, almost no social dimension. I like socializing with people in intimate settings, one-on-one. I have very narrow parameters for how I want to socialize. And that's a broad effect, I guess. That's one of the big ones. One of the things I can point to and say, here's something that I know is related to my ASD. The fact that socializing it isn't something that I have much motivation at all to do. And when it happens, I don't understand it. And I don't know how I'm supposed to behave. I don't have, it's not like I have no tact. I don't just, say random, awkward things that make people uncomfortable. Not any more than anyone else. But I just don't know how I'm expected to comport myself in certain situations. I'm not good on my feet socially. I need about 30 to 45 minutes to think up responses to banter. There is a large part of me that is basically like a robot. I want to have protocol. If I'm going into a situation, any situation, but especially a social situation, I want to know exactly what's going to happen, what kinds of things I should say. But, we don't get certainty like that most of the time. So I go into social situations feeling completely unprepared. And what happens is I act aloof, I don't want to be in social situations. I'm uncomfortable. And I don't talk to people. I separate. I'm avoidant, And there's other things at play, things that happened when I was a kid, and obviously it's not all nature. There's some nurture at work, but there are subtler ways in which my ASD affects me. I have almost no emotional intelligence. If I'm talking to somebody that I love, and they say, I'm frustrated at work, I don't know how to reply. I mean, I could say, oh, I'm sorry. But I don't have any faith in that response. I feel as if I am supposed to respond in a specific way. But all I can think of is a general response, like, oh, sorry, but I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or not. I miss cues sometimes. I mean, I have a sense of humor, I get jokes, but sometimes I don't know, like, sometimes I miss jokes, and I'm not very good at improvising in social situations. The best way to describe me would basically be mechanical. I'm sort of a mechanical person. And I feel outside of others. I feel separate, very isolated. And at work, there was a group of people at FPG. All of the janitors, knew each other and were friendly, even when they talked shit about each other, which they did all the time. They would sit together and talk, and they had each other's phone numbers. They were, a group of friends. But I was outside it. When they would sit upstairs in the break room and talk, I would sit downstairs in the basement. Partly to charge my phone, because there was a place to charge it down there, but also because I just didn't want to participate in their socializing. I didn't care. And there are things that I feel like I'm supposed to care about that I don't care about. I mean, if I meet a stranger and we're forced together, and he's gonna start talking about, his dog or something, his son, something that happened to him recently. I don't care about those things. Do other people really care? I feel like a lot of conversation, a lot of socializing is, just humoring people, giving people random meaningless information. We had a guy here who was fixing our furnace, and my wife could talk to him with no problem, about dumb shit that I didn't care about. We're going to talk about my pets, my kids, playing sports, what the fuck ever. And it never would have occurred to me to have a conversation with that person. She started having a conversation with him. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's something people do. I didn't care to converse with him. It's not that I don't care about people. It isn't that I lack empathy. It's that I don't have a good deal of emotional intelligence, and I don't have much of a social machine working in my mind. And I think that when it came time to let somebody go, for budget reasons at work, they chose me because, nobody was going to get upset. I had no connections. Nobody was going to quit, to leave in solidarity. Why'd you fire Ryan? Now I quit. That wasn't going to happen. I feel isolated a lot, but I don't seek socialization because I don't really want to. It's complicated. Living with an ASD is difficult. Also, living with no job is going to be difficult. So, I'll make another vlog at some point. Tell you all about what's going on. I said vlog, I meant Vramble. Whatever. I'm rambling here. I'm a dumbass. Don't listen to me. Alright. Peace out. Or what the fuck ever.